Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
The Catchalorette and friends want to acknowledge that this podcast is recorded and edited on the stolen lands of the Kaurna and Peramunk peoples. We wish to pay and give respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, past, present, and emerging. Sovereignty was never ceded. Always was. Always will be. Aboriginal land. The Catchalorette
and friends.
From first love to happy ever after.
What's that?
From dating to dick pics.
Oh my. Oh no!
The Catchalorette and friends. Oh, I love a good dick. Hello and welcome to the Catchalorette and friends. I'm Carla Anita Matiazzo, and today's guest is Lauren Edwards. Sounds like you're going down a slippery dip.
Sorry, and I know that people can't see me, but I'm like doing slippery dip hands just so you've got a mental image in your brain.
Oh, so good. Okay, so Lauren, tell us about your current show, because I'm coming on Thursday, but
yes.
Tell us about your current show.
My current show is called Everything is a Lie. It's the title doesn't sound particularly funny, but I promise that it is meant to be a comedy. I debuted it last year, the first draft of it, which was meant to debut at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, but I unfortunately went to hospital a week before my opening night, so I had to cancel it, which was devastating. But then what that's kind of meant is that for the last 12 months I've kind of been redeveloping it, and so the version that I'm performing here in Adelaide is kind of the new iteration that no one's seen before. So what is it about? It is about, would you say it's an hour of me complaining about things? Maybe, but maybe it's also it's a very millennial show, and it's just about the realisation that the world as we know it, as we grow up, is perhaps not what we envisioned, I suppose.
Correct. Yeah, it never is, right?
No, yeah.
So on that particular point just there, is there anything as a kid that you imagined would happen in your love life as an adult that didn't eventuate?
Oh, I mean, I'm not a big, and I actually talk about this in the show, I've never been a big wedding person. I never had like a dream wedding in my head or anything, but I did assume that I would be married because that's what my parents did, and that's what everybody else was doing. I assumed I would be married by a certain age, and I'm not, which is also fine. But I thought that I would have, had a wedding by now, I guess, and have children and have, had a whole bunch of, wild love affairs, which I probably wouldn't call them that,
Yes,
They're not that romantic.
I do know, Lauren. Yeah, it's funny that we put this age on things. Exactly what you were saying there. Yeah. I thought by 30 I would be married with 2 kids.
100%. I think my mother was married at 22 and had me, her oldest child, at 27.
Yeah, right. And
which just sounds like a child to me now.
Yeah, like 27 was old. Like I was born on my mum's 30th birthday, and being both my parents are Italian, first generation here, they got married at, my mum was 21, my dad was 22, and then they had me at 30. Like that was old, having the children at 30 and 32, I think my mum was when she had my brother. And I just look at that now and I just go, well.
Haven't things changed?
Yeah. And I saw Erin Fowler's Egg the other night.
Yeah.
And it's the second time I've seen it, right?
Yeah, cute.
And it really fucking messed with me this year because the older I'm getting and the later into my 30s I'm getting late 30s, right? they fucked with me. Like, I burst into tears a couple of times in the show, and I was like, fucking keep it together, keep it together, keep it together. It was tough. The first time I saw it, I still had that yearning, but it was like 3 years ago or so she first did it.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm keen to see it.
Yeah,
definitely.
it's good. It's a good show.
Great.
But,
Messed with you.
Yeah, it messed with me completely.
Yeah. Is it about IVF? Is that what it's about? Like,
it's working out if she wants to be a mum.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So going through all those stages. And I know, because obviously my current show is about periods, I know where I'm at in the cycle, right? And I wasn't in a, in inverted commas, emotional part of my cycle. I am in spring or summer at the moment, which means like,
what does that mean?
Oh, okay. So,
I've got to see your show now.
So just spring, summer, autumn, winter, like the 4 seasons are a nice way to encapsulate the different weeks of the cycle. So winter is your period when you're actually bleeding, all that kind of stuff, because you go internal.
I call that El Nino season. Because it's chaos.
It's fucking horrible, isn't it? Fucking horrible. And then spring and summer, like spring is coming out of winter. So like you're stepping out of the fog, you're feeling good. And then summer is when you're ready to go, you're ready to fuck, you're ready to like
to have some fun.
And all the energies and all that kind of stuff. And then autumn's when the PMS and all that comes in and you want to kill everybody. So I knew where I was at in my cycle watching Erin's show, and I'm like, I shouldn't be feeling
this way,
but fuck me, obviously that's something that I have to deal with. So it's interesting that you just said that, because
you definitely I remember on my when I was 27, there was a day my mother called me. She probably would be mad at me for sharing this, but she's not going to. She doesn't know how to listen to podcasts, so I think we're safe. But she called me one day when I was in that year, and she basically was like, "Oh, I'm just calling to tell you that today you're exactly the same age as I was the day I gave birth to you." And I was like, "Oh, that's sweet. Like that's a cute little thing to remember, and like lovely," because she was 27 and 6 months old, or however old she was on that day that I was born. And I was like, "Oh, well, thanks for telling me." And then she was like, "Well, you better hurry up and have a baby soon because you won't be able to do it forever." And I was like,
"Thanks, Mum."
Cool. Thanks for the phone call.
It's like, I know my dad is busting to be a nonno. Like, I know that 100%. So I don't have a relationship with my mum, and that's a story for another day.
Sure.
And I did a cabaret show about it and stuff. It was very interesting how generationally in my family, like my 2 nonnas, my grandmothers, were very on opposite sides of the spectrum in regards to that. So like my mum's mum was like, you have no value unless you are married and have children. So therefore I'm not putting your photo up in the house of when you're an adult until you achieve those milestones.
What?
Yeah. And then my nonna on my dad's side was like, you wait until somebody is worthy of you.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, my nonna on my mum's side was here since she was 3. My nonna on my dad's side, she came here in her 20s. Wow. So you would think and assume that it would have been flipped.
Other way around. Yeah.
And then I had my mum saying to me, if you have children and if you get married, and keep in mind she's on the side of the nonna that was like, you have no value unless you do this and this. Ugh. My mum was, if you get married and have children, that'll be the worst thing that you do. It'll ruin your life.
Jesus.
Yeah. So try and get through that fucking...
Wow. No wonder you wrote a show about it. Fuck me. That's a lot of trauma.
It is. So the systematic trauma that gets passed down to generations really fuck us up.
Look, and this is something I'm quite I'm grateful for this is that my partner and I are currently really trying to work through whether we truly want to have children because we want to have them or because we think we should have them. And I think that's a really valuable conversation for us to have. It's been, it's confronting at times, but I think both of us really struggle to know. We're both of us I think that I want a kid, but do I want a kid because I should have a kid or because I truly want to be a parent? Because those conflicting messages, I think even he's received them, throughout his life. Yeah.
I suggest you go see Egg.
Okay. Okay, I will.
Because it, like I said before, it really amplified and magnified for me, Carla, you've wanted this since you were 21.
Yep.
You're 37 this year, come on now, get it together.
If you feel any better, I'm going to be 39 this year, so I'm
really?
going to have a very geriatric pregnancy.
Yeah, see, that term is so awful, isn't it?
It is awful. It is awful.
Yeah, from 35 onwards. And at 35, when you get there, you don't feel geriatric.
No. My my gynecologist, who's also an obstetrician, she's told me multiple times, she's like, I know that that's the scientific word. She's like, but let me just tell you, I have plenty of patients who have children well into their 40s and they're perfectly fine and healthy. And don't let that phrase scare you. It's an irritating phrase.
Yeah, it is. It is. It really is.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like my ovaries have old whiskers on them and have the frames and they're just shivering
having a
with
prolapse.
Parkinson's. Yeah.
I mean, I had the full fertility workup.
Yep.
And
I've done that too.
And I remember having the ultrasound, which is just such a dignified experience.
Oh, isn't it just?
And I found out I have a retrofitted uterus. Just sharing that with your listeners.
How exciting.
Yes. And then she was showing me my follicles, which also sounds so weird. Follicles sound like I've got these little hairs or little seaweed blowing in the breeze on my ovaries. But she was like, your left side's doing all the work. And I was oh, okay. And she was like, I was like, what about the right side? She was like, it's kind of given up. And I was like, great.
Okay.
Good to know.
Excellent. So how did you, and you cannot answer this if you're not comfortable. So what's the process there?
So I basically started speaking to my GP about it and she was like, well, let's just do a full fertility check and just see where you're at and we'll get a snapshot. But she also was very clear about how she's like, this also could mean it's not 100% this means you can or cannot have children. This is just an idea of where your body may be at. Sure. So we did the full gamut of blood tests, which is a real fun day. And they took a lot of blood. And then once you do the blood test, then you get the referral to have an ultrasound. A full pelvic ultrasound.
So they do it up the vagina. Yeah.
So you go, I went in at 8:00 in the morning to get it over with and it was a freezing cold Melbourne day and this lovely, either beautiful technician who was Irish and she was so much fun, but she pulled out this, enormous looking wand covered in lube and she was like, okay, well, I think we both know where this is going. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then she just gets to work and, you've got your feet in the stirrups and you're just watching the monitor. And she was, look, I have no idea how to read an ultrasound. So she was showing me, she was like, here are your follicles and you can see you're about to ovulate now. Can you see that little egg there basically? And I was like, oh, I can see that. And she's like, can you see all this? And I was like, no, it just looks like a mess to me. But I believe you, whatever you're saying, sure.
Yeah, great. So that's nice that you had really positive experiences and support through that because I know it can be quite harrowing.
I'm very lucky in that, but it took me a long time to find a GP that I felt fully actually wanted to listen to me. And I understand why that can be. I know other doctors and I understand they're under a lot of pressure and they have so much time constraints, but eventually finding someone who's she's a younger female doctor who's in my age bracket and kind of just has that lived experience that I have. Yeah. I think that made a huge difference.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah.
So let's backpedal.
Sure.
Can you remember your first crush and the story around that?
Fuck. I mean, I'm 39, Carla. Jesus. I do remember it. I remember my first crush because he had the same name as my father, which I really
Jesus
struggled
Christ.
with. Yeah. My first celebrity crush doesn't count though, because I feel like.
But you can share that if you want.
Sure. Well, my first celebrity crush was Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. From Home Improvement.
Yeah.
It's like, what a babe.
Yeah, he was delicious. What happened to him?
I don't know. Like, I remember he did a whole bunch of like terrible teen films.
And some Christmas
and
ones
some Christmas
too.
movies. And then I think he kind of disappeared after a while. And apparently he's sort of resurfacing now and doing some indie stuff.
What does he look like now?
I don't know.
Let's Google that. Jonathan Taylor.
That's the Home Improvement.
very
Does everyone
good.
get that?
Oh,
What does he look like?
He's actually quite cute.
Oh yeah, I think that was taken a few years ago. I don't know if he's that. I think he's a bit more like a bit more Byron Bay these days. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, he was my first celebrity crush, and then my first crush was a boy at school who was far too cool for me. Like,
Oh, come on now, Lauren.
No. I was terrified of most people, and he was just really like. I went to a state school in Queensland, and like it was kind of, well, I wouldn't call it rough, but it was, you know, like pretty like standard state school back in the early 90s, and I was from quite a conservative family, so I was terrified of boys, and a lot of the kids in my classes were from, like, their parents were a bit younger, and like they just had a much more like freer kind of environment they'd come from.
Right.
And this boy was one of those kind of kids. His mum, I knew his mum. She often would do like reading groups with us.
Spesh.
And I loved her because she was like so nice and like so cool, because she was like young and like just hip, and I was like, oh my God, I love her so much. So maybe I actually liked him because I liked his
mum?
mum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we never dated though, because I was never allowed to date boys, but also I just was too scared to like talk to him. So.
Okay, let's talk about the never allowed to date boys situation.
Yes.
So there were some people, like members of my family, that had in their tight knit unit, they weren't allowed to date until they were 15 plus.
Yes.
Right. I didn't have an age restriction on me as to when I was allowed to. What happened to my voice there?
Getting choked up about your dating experience.
Allowed to date. But I remember it was definitely a source of contention in my household when I did start to date
I can
boys.
imagine. Yes, tell us more. What happened? I'm interviewing you now. What was it like?
So it was okay. So I was telling somebody about this the other day, and this is going to be real creepy McCreepy stuff.
Please, I love it.
So looking back now, I don't know how my parents allowed this, but I guess it was the 90s and early 2000s, so it was a bit fucked up.
Sure.
In year 9, I dated a year 12 because we were
Saucy.
but it gets worse. So, because he was in the orchestra and I was on stage when we did school musicals and stuff.
Classic musician performer.
Yes, yeah.
Love affair. Yeah,
Yes.
love that.
And because when I was at school, I was at the school for music and performing arts.
Yes.
So I was put in the choirs with the year 11 and 12s when I was in year 8 and 9 because I could harmonise and stuff like that.
Yep.
And that's how we all became friends and whatnot. But then what happened was, so year 9, year 12.
It's kind of like Andrew Lloyd Webber and Sarah Brightman.
Oh.
Ooh. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So then we were together in year 10, and then he was first year uni.
Holy shit. Imagine explaining that to your friends. I'm going out with a girl in year 10.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. And then we skipped year 11 because I was with a different boy. And
Nice.
and then in year 12, he was third year uni. That's dodgy McDodgy pants.
Really dodgy.
And he's a GP now.
Wow.
So, fun fact. So, you know the cabaret artist Millicent Starr? She's got a song about this particular situation.
I know the song you're referring to.
Yes. If you're an adult man dating a teenager,
I won't sing it in case that's copyright, but like it's a great song.
It is. It's excellent. And she, in her show, she offers to go sing that song to anybody who may experience or have experienced that in the past. And I strongly thought about it. Yeah, definitely.
What did your parents say about it? Did they know how much older he was than you?
Yeah.
Wow.
They loved him. My mum loved him, but she loved the fact that he was going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. That says a lot about my mother, doesn't it?
I would never have had the gall to date a boy or even talk to a boy who was older than me. I have basically exclusively only ever dated men who are my age or younger.
Really? Okay, tell me about the younger men because...
I love younger men.
Okay, tell me why.
I've always been into them.
Okay, tell me why.
I think because I think this is a me thing in that I have a real type, and my type, I just love a cute face. Like I love a man with a cute face. And I also tend to, because I know that I said before, like I am going to be 39 this year, but I don't feel that I am.
No, I was surprised that you said that's how old you are.
Yeah, so I do feel there is a real part of me that even though I was the oldest child in my family and I had that kind of big sister energy, on the inside I generally like to shy away from too much responsibility and like I don't know. I think there was something. I think in high school I'm really getting quite like Freudian here, but here we go. It's fine. I wore a back brace in high school, right?
Oh,
so I was,
Bob.
and this is a joke that in my show, no one wanted to have sex with me, okay? Because I was back brace girl. Like, who wants to fuck her? Nobody. So that's fine. But that's why I'm a comedian today. Yay! But I think because I didn't get a lot of attention from boys in high school, maybe there's a part of me that likes the idea of like cooler, younger, cute boys being interested in me.
Right.
And I love their energy. And I don't. Do we talk about sex on this podcast?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, great. I also found younger men much more keen to impress you in the bedroom.
Right. So they're more willing to learn the things.
Well, they just seem more open to it, and they seem more, in my experience, I mean, not all of them were that amazing. Like, I don't want to, toot anyone's horn here, but like, definitely can say I've had a couple of experiences with younger men where they've just been so much more open to. I found them very respectful and like just really fun to be around, and like they thought I was so smart and all this sort of stuff. And I am smart, but it's also nice when someone just says that to you.
Yeah, it is lovely.
Like. Not that I've really entertained a lot of older men before, but I don't like to be patronised. So I felt in my limited experience that's what it had been like. So all of the men, bar one, all of the men I have dated have been my age or younger.
So what's the youngest you've got, like age gap you've gone?
I wouldn't say dated, but I briefly dated in inverted commas when I was 30. How old am I now? 38. When I was 32, I dated a man who was 26.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that was probably the biggest gap because 26 to me is like quite a young age. But he didn't seem 26. He seemed a bit like he was much more together, so it was fine.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
He was hot too.
He was real hot?
Yeah, he was a babe.
So you like the cute face and I like the attention to detail and the willingness to participate.
Yeah, I think also too, like I don't give off 38-year-old woman vibes.
No, you don't at all.
I just also think they probably are naturally, and I'm also quite short and, I look small, so I think that I do attract that type as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the looking younger situation.
Sure.
Because I've definitely been in situations, and I'm assuming you would have too, again, because I didn't think that you were the age that you are. And
Keep
often
saying it. I love it every time you say it. It makes me feel so good. It's giving me such a dopamine hit.
And I've experienced that a lot as well.
Yes.
And the only time I find it is a negative is when you are in a room with women that see you through the internalized misogyny lens and patronize, like you were saying, like older men can, but women, I find, of a certain age bracket, if they are not aware of all that stuff, I find...
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I find myself dropping my tone of my voice.
Yes.
And not being as cheerful and bubbly so that I get taken more seriously.
Yeah, I
do
probably...
You know yeah.
I do. I probably do that as well. I mean, look, I've been quite lucky, particularly in, you know, the professional sphere, that I've always tended to work with women around my age. But earlier in my career, when I was teaching a lot...
you were a teacher as well.
Yeah, years ago. Yeah. And particularly in like the private sector, there are a lot of older teachers who've been there for, 20, 30 years. And yeah, I mean, look, I find it just in general, people can, even in my own family, like I almost feel like I want to remind people who know me sometimes. Like, I'm 38, like I'm not a fool. Like, I know these things. So I've been asked before, like, how do you know that? I'm like, because I know things.
Because I'm a fucking adult.
Because I'm an adult. Yeah. Like, and I learnt it. Like, I don't know. How do you know anything? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I get what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the only time I find that it is a real negative and I feel really uncomfortable with it.
Yeah. I also find it's a problem as a performer. I know that at the moment, and my agent has sort of said this to me before, like if I try and do acting jobs, one of the things is on paper, I'm born in 1984, but like when often they're putting me up for roles for that age group, and then my agent would be like, you look too young. Yeah. They're going to, or I went to set once, I did get a job and I went to set and we did the first take and they were like, we're going to need to put some more makeup on you because you just look too young next to the guy who was playing my husband or whatever. Yeah, right. And they had to do all this like heavy eye makeup and stuff. And I was like,
Jesus.
Like honestly, like just shoot at 6 a.m. when I've just woken up. I look haggard, like easy fix.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I found that too, that I get put forward for younger stuff for sure.
Yes. Yeah. It's hard in this age group, I think, because, like mums on television look a certain way.
Yes.
And younger ingenue types look a certain way. And I'm too old to be put up for those parts, but I'm too young to play. Well, I'm the right age to play a mum, but I don't look the part. So it's hard.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think you and I are in the same situation
bucket,
there. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving back, we've gone through crushes. What was your first relationship and what were the highlights and what did you learn?
Now, when you say relationship, like, do you mean proper relationship?
Whatever you think that goes under.
Oh, God, that's really hard. I had a really checkered start in dating because I am the back brace girl from school. So I literally dated anyone who showed interest in me, which is not a good... Don't do that.
No.
Dear listeners, don't do that. It's silly.
It's silly.
Silly thing to do.
Silly.
But my first boyfriend in high school, because I went to a girls' school. So
that doesn't help either.
No. But my first boyfriend, in inverted commas, went to a all boys school.
Of course he did.
Really all we ever did was like meet at the shops on the weekends, and he called my house a couple of times. We went to a party and we kissed, and I think like a month later we were like, I don't think we're a boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. Like it was just kind of that.
Yeah.
But my first proper relationship was probably I was about 21, 22. Yeah. What did you ask me? I forgot now. I'm trying to rack my brain. Trying to think of it because what
the
counts?
Pros and the highlights and the lessons.
Okay, so one of the so this is a guy I dated when I was about 21, 22. I was quite infatuated with him, and he was a real how women we're often called like manic pixie dream girls. Like there's like the kind of boy equivalent. He was kind of that, like really into music and like, he had a skateboard and he was just like really cool, which is basically all red flags because having a skateboard meant that he had no car, and like I had to drive him everywhere, and like it's just don't do it. Anyway, what did I learn? I think I learnt to definitely value myself a bit higher and not be so. I definitely made some terrible decisions and tried to make it out like I was like accidentally running into him. It was so embarrassing.
It's okay, we've all been there.
Or done it. I definitely learned don't do that.
No.
It's silly.
Silly.
It.
Very silly.
But I mean, I think because I had so much one of the highlights of it was it taught me that actually there's nothing wrong with me. Like, I think because I had so many hang-ups around my appearance because of, you know, wearing a back brace and like the way I looked in high school, and I was such a dweeb, and I was like finally like kind of blossoming a little bit in my 20s, and this was kind of the first time that someone had like really pursued me.
Yeah, sure.
And like shown real interest in me. And that was like quite nice to be like, oh, you know, it's like, I'm a pretty girl, mama, which is so pathetic. But like, it was what? Like,
it's cute.
It's like 2003. So
yeah,
like,
come on now.
What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. We had to be waifs and, you know, idolize boys. Yeah.
I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it, but
it's part of the journey.
Being a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's probably the first relationship that I would count.
Great. So when you said about I'm a pretty girl mama.
Yeah.
Let's unpack that, because something that I'm finding really interesting is when I get compliments about my appearance.
Yep.
I'm really struggling with that lately. Compliment me on something that you actually notice about who I am as a person.
Yes.
And my values and my ethos, or something that I would think no one would be paying attention. Don't be just commenting on the obvious shit.
Yeah, for sure.
As I'm getting older, I need more depth and sincerity to the compliments.
Yes.
Rather than, you're so pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, you got great tits. I like your ass.
Oh, God.
Okay, can we give me something else?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, look, to be quite honest with you, I am also a Leo, so like I am very vain.
Sure.
So sometimes, you know, compliments about my appearance are very welcomed, and I find that when a woman compliments me on my appearance, I'm thrilled.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, thrilled.
Totally different.
When men do it, no likey.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously my partner's allowed to do it, but I do find I'm still, even at 38, even though I'm very confident and I know what I look like and all that sort of stuff, like, and I would prefer to be, if someone's going to compliment me on my talent or my, you know, my values or whatever. I still don't like compliments from strange men.
Yeah.
I find it very uncomfortable.
Yeah. So I'll play you a scenario here.
Please.
That I went on a date once, and this guy not only couldn't stop talking about my boobs in lots of different ways.
Like how?
Like, you got to raise your self-esteem to match the height of your boobs. Like, what the fuck?
That's not
like, because they're up
funny.
there. I'm like, that's okay. Sure. Like, I mean, just too many. Too many.
Yeah.
And this was like a second date, right? This is really weird.
No, please.
Okay,
go ahead.
Lauren, this is weird. So I wear a lot of jumpsuits, like a lot.
I love a jumpsuit.
It's great.
It's great for us short girls.
Oh, it's great.
Perfect.
And this jumpsuit was like fitted at the like bodice and to the waist, and then it was very flowy on the legs.
Cute. Love it.
It was flowy McFlowy. You can't really see definition. You can't really see.
Great.
But on this day, this dude proceeded to make a comment about, love your outfit. It accentuates your cleavage. But the thing that's letting you down is you can see you've got a visible panty line.
What?
Sorry, excuse me. I don't give a fuck.
Did he say that to you?
Yeah. And I went, I don't care. I'm comfortable.
I wear underwear. Hey, newsflash, everyone wears fucking underwear, dude. Get over it.
Yeah. I was like, I don't care. I'm dressed for my comfort and I'm dressed for myself.
Men walk around with their fucking pants down to their like ball sack and their undies like up around their navel, and that's fine, but you can't have the visible pants.
But I was like, I'm in this is flowy on the pants section. How are you? And I was like, you can't see anything. These are flowy. He's like, no, you can't. And then it extended on to, so did you dress like that for me today? I was like, no, I dressed like this for me because I didn't shave my legs. That was my response, because I felt like I had to desexualize myself, because I was at a point where I was so goddamn fucking uncomfortable that I actually felt like I needed to go home, get changed, cover myself up. I was like, no, I don't need to do that.
No, you absolutely do not.
I do not. I'm allowed to be comfortable in whatever I choose to wear. I mean, a long jumpsuit, I've got some cleavage happening, but you can't see anything else.
It's so funny. I think now that you're saying this, I do that all the time, because I have big boobs and have done since I was a teenager, and there's really nothing I can do about that. And I think that in many situations, I often try purposefully to desexualize myself and make kind of a fool of myself, or kind of, be intentionally awkward or silly or whatever, because I don't want that to become a focus.
Yeah.
Because I don't like people looking there.
Exactly right. What made it worse was he also, second date, mind you, and then proceeded to slap me on the ass twice.
Carla!
Yeah, no, that's not okay. And then I sent a message.
Call the police.
I sent a message, but me being a people pleaser, I started off with, really nice day, blah, blah, blah.
Compliment
thank you.
sandwich.
Yeah. That's what I did. But then I was really uncomfortable with the constant comments about my boobs, my undies line, slapping my ass. Made me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We hardly know each other, right?
Yeah.
And his response was, ha, 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 figured, but a little flirting. I've just told you I was uncomfortable. Take some responsibility and apologise.
Wait, he said, but a little flirting.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
What is a little flirting? That's assault.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of The Catchalorette and Friends. Make sure you follow the podcast at The Catchalorette Pod on Instagram. And if you think your love journey is worth sharing with me on the podcast, send me an email, thecatchalorettepod@gmail.com, or slide into my Instagram DMs. Oh, and don't forget to give the podcast a review and tell all your motherfucking people to listen to the show. Now let's get back to this episode. I cannot stand, Lauren, when guys will constantly tell you, I'm trustworthy, you can trust me, I'm a good guy, I'm a this, I'm that. Don't tell me, just be it.
Just do it.
Just be it. I'm not sitting there telling you what I am.
Yes.
I'm just being myself, and then you figure out if you want that or not. Don't be saying that shit.
And also, that good people don't go around saying, hey, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
We just don't. We just don't do that, because now I'm going to go back on my word, but I think I'm a pretty nice person, and as a nice person, I don't need to tell people that, because I know that my behaviour reflects it.
Yes.
So any
red flag.
Yeah, 100%. Fuck,
we harmonised there. That was very
beautiful.
Good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's wild. Oh God, am I honestly the vein is popping in my forehead on your behalf?
Yeah, I actually can
that's
see
just
it.
So fucked.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah, real gross. So have you had similar or something similar?
I had something similar in that I dated this man very, very briefly back in my single period, back in my very early 30s, and he was to be honest, it was a different kind of uncomfortable, but it still was there. He was overly complimentary about the way I looked, which is at first really nice when someone tells you, he kept saying things like, he kept calling me a glamour, which is a real phrase, and it didn't bother me at first because it's a real phrase in Brisbane where I grew up.
Sure.
It was a real compliment back then. If you were a glamour, you were beautiful. You looked great.
Never heard it before, but sure.
Yeah, so it was a real thing we used to say in high school. So when he said it to me, I took it as a compliment, but I don't think it means the same thing down in Melbourne as it did then. But anyway, he was very overly complimentary about the way I looked, and then started, that classic oh, I can't believe you're out with me.
Oh,
of thing.
shut
and I'm just
up.
like, that makes me not want to be out here. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, are you trying to tell me something? And then he was very, I mean, this is a TMI, I don't know. But when we like eventually slept together, he wanted to do it without protection. And I remember.
The very first time?
Yes.
Okay, no.
And I remember the next day after I left, because he like wanted me to stay, and I was like, I'm going to go now, bye. And then I texted him the next day basically being like, because he was like immediately texted me in the morning being like, oh, I want to see you again, etc. And I was like, actually, no, thank you. I said, if I can be completely honest with you, I said I felt very uncomfortable last night. Like, if you're going to, I know you're kind of newly single too, so if I can give you any advice, it's
don't raw dog on the first date.
Don't raw dog on the first date, dude.
No.
Like, don't even ask if you can. Like, just don't even entertain the thought.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. So that made me feel really uncomfortable. And like, now thinking about that person, it just makes me, I get the icks.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. It's not nice.
It's not nice.
It's very different if you're in a long-term relationship. That has been discussed. Sexual health checks have been done, all that kind of stuff. And you're trying to have a baby, completely different. Obviously.
Different.
That story reminded me of a time on a date that I went on years ago through mutual friends. It was 2019.
Yep.
And this guy threw a tantrum about having to wear a condom, and he threw it across the room.
The used condom? Or
No. And I was out. I was like...
Immediately no.
We cannot do this.
Absolutely
That
not.
is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I remember looking at it and going, did he just throw a little tantrum about the condom and throw it across the room? What just happened?
Fuck?
Yeah. I seem to attract some interesting humans, Lauren.
Yeah, wow.
And I'm ready for the, predictable, reliable, consistent, emotionally intelligent,
yes,
all round good human.
Look, here's the thing, right? I've started saying this recently. I'm with somebody who I love very much, but I have said, as I'm getting older, it's starting to dawn on me. I'm like, if we were to break up, I don't think I would date again. I think I would happily just live with a bunch of women forever and be very, very thrilled. And dogs. I do have a great dog.
Yeah, great. Like, I've got 2 awesome dogs. Yeah,
I would be thrilled with that. I would be so happy to do that because, oh God, it is a jungle out there, mate.
It's look, I'm single. Mm-hmm. I was very in love with my ex.
Yeah.
I was that was the person.
Yeah.
So I was very
devastated.
Yeah.
Of course.
Very, very, that was my person. That was the person that I was gonna.
Yeah.
And I am very much in that mindset of, well, I feel like I lost my person.
Yep.
I can't do it again.
Sure.
I just can't. Like, even thinking about it, it hurts my heart. Like, it hurts.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So I totally am in agreement with that because it's just... And I've never been the type of person to be able to get into another relationship with anybody soon. It takes me years.
Yeah.
And I never loved like I loved that person. Yeah. Yes, so I'm on board with what you just said.
Should we just run away and live in a commune? I've been thinking about it.
Yeah. Look, my dogs are getting really old, and like one's 17 and one's 16.
Wow. My dog's a baby.
Oh, are they?
He's got a long life ahead of him.
What kind of dog do you have?
He's a Chihuahua cross, Pug cross,
hilarious.
Foxy cross, a whole bunch of things.
Yeah,
we're not really
so
sure,
funny.
but he's very small and nervous.
What's his name?
Stanley Tucci.
Oh my God, stop it right now. That is the best. That is the best.
He is the best.
That is so great. Where'd you get him from?
I found him from this family in Melbourne whose dog had gotten pregnant and she'd had a litter, and they were like, we can't keep the babies. We can't look after them. So I just, like, by pure chance, I just happened to be online when they were posting about it.
Yeah, right.
And I just immediately messaged them and I was like, I'll take a dog. And they were like, Absolutely, like come over and meet them, and like we really want to make sure that these little puppies go to nice people. So that's how I found him.
Stanley Tucci, that is the best.
And he looks like Stanley Tucci too. He has great eyebrows. I'm not lying.
God, that's so cool.
Yeah. So he's only a baby. He's only 1.
Oh, you've got a lovely long life
ahead of him. Well, let's hope so, because he's kind of a tiny idiot. So. So he's in that rebellious stage at the moment where he like is purposely not doing as I ask him to do, even though he knows the command.
Naughty boy.
He's being naughty on purpose.
Naughty boy.
Oh shit, the Lord
naughty
is testing
boy.
me. But yeah.
So did you and your partner get that doggy together?
Well, my partner Tom never had dogs. He's always had cats in his family. They adopted cats when he was younger. He always talks about his cat Olivia, who lived to like 20 or something like that, and she was just this random cat they just like found and raised her until she was 20. But he had never had dogs. I've always had dogs in my family, and I have been desperate for a dog of my own for years because I love animals. I love animals, and my family dog had passed away in 2021.
Right.
And even though she wasn't living with me at the time, that really kind of left that kind of hole and whatever.
Yeah, it's awful.
And I'd sort of, during lockdown in Melbourne and then 2022, I'd sort of become like this unofficial dog babysitting service for my friends, because all my friends have dogs, and we called ourselves the Little Doggo Motel, and because all my friends, when they'd be like, we're going out of town, could you look after the dog? And I'd be like, absolutely. So like I became this dog sitter for my friends, and then I don't know, I just loved having an animal in the house, and I love looking after them, and I just thought, well, I really want to get a dog. And then I'd been looking during lockdown, because obviously lots of people were getting pets in lockdown, but because I lived in an apartment, all of the rescue sites I was a member of, they were like rejecting my applications, being like, we think you're great, but we prefer the dog to go to someone who has a yard.
Sure. How many applications did you go through? Because Nikki Britton in her show talks about that she went through multiple applications and they were rejected.
I reckon I went through upwards of 20.
Oh my God.
I'd say about 25.
Holy shit balls.
Any dog that came up, because I'm in so many rescue groups, and any dog that came up.
I'll take it.
Well, I was specifically looking for a smaller dog who could live in an apartment. So because I was very, hyper aware that some dogs don't suit that lifestyle. Any dog that was like, could suit a single person or a lower activity, I was like, apply. And every single time they were like, you have a great, you have a great application, but we want them to live somewhere that has a yard. And I was like, I work from home most of the time. I'm a comedian who's home during the day. Like, I'll be taking the dog out all the time. Didn't make a difference. So just by pure chance. And I think this is what a lot of people told me when I finally found Stanley. Like, the right dog, the circumstance will happen.
Yeah.
And I said to Tom, I was like, I think I really want a dog. And he was like, great. I'm happy for you to just get a dog. I don't know anything about dogs, so you can pick.
Oh, that's nice.
And he's like, just get one, Lauren. And I was like, no, but I really want to make sure that the dog I get is already born. I didn't want to go to a breeder because I just don't know enough breeders in Victoria to feel safe or ethical doing it. So my rule was I only want to get a dog that needs a home or has already been born.
Yeah.
And so he came along, and I remember calling the lady on a Tuesday night. I saw the thing come up on Tuesday night. I called her. She was like, do you want to come over tomorrow? And I was like, sure. So I went over after work on the Wednesday, met the mum, met the puppies, and we had a quick chat, and I picked up Stanley, and he like curled up and fell asleep on my tummy. And I was like, I think I want this one, please. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, when he's, and I couldn't pick him up. And I also really liked her because I was like, I can't pick him up straight away because I'll be doing a show and I'll be touring. It'll be too hard. Can I pick him up when he's like 10 or 11 weeks old? She was like, sure, I'll hang on to him until then. So she was like really flexible with that. And then I just called my partner on the way home after I'd like told her, yeah, I'm going to take one of the dogs. I was like, hey, guess what? And he was like, what? I said, we got a dog. He was like, oh, shit, crazy. So, yeah, I just kind of sprung it on him. He was like, great.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Both of mine are rescues.
Yeah, love that.
So, yeah, all about it. All about it.
Well, because we during lockdown, you couldn't like go to the rescue places. So I was just online all the time looking for one. But I'd love to rescue a greyhound if I can.
Yeah, they're supposed to be real sweet.
Real sweethearts. My friends have one and she's definitely had a bit of trauma and stuff, so she can be quite nervous, but she's a real teddy bear. She's gorgeous, but her farts really stink.
Oh, gross. Okay.
Yeah, they've got really stinky bums.
Okay, yeah. Stinky bums,
stinky
no go.
boys. Yeah.
Oh, my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, so funny. I've thought about, because they're getting so old, I'm like, do I get another one?
What breed are they?
So Maximus Spartacus is a multi-shih tzu.
Cute.
Because Max is so cute and fluffy.
Yes.
I wanted him to have
Strong
a
name.
strong. Yeah.
That.
So he's a tough boy.
Yeah.
He goes to everybody all the time, right?
Love
Whereas I feel like both my dogs are my personality, but
Yes.
Max has got all the outgoing. I'm here.
Yeah. Hello.
Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Hello.
I'm lovely. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that kind of stuff. And April's like, you will earn
You will work
my
for it,
trust
bitches.
and you will earn my attention. So when I got her, I couldn't even pat her. She'd hide under everything.
Yeah.
April
Yes.
is called she's named after April O'Neil from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, I love that
The
show.
old one where she had orange hair. 'Cause
Yes.
she's got orange patches.
What breed is she?
Beagle cross Jack Russell.
Cute.
So she is quite a nervous girl.
Yeah,
and
so is
quite,
Stanley.
Yeah, quite, like I said, you have to earn.
You have to earn her
Earn
respect
it.
and trust, which
and
is
you
fine.
can't assume that you're just going to be mates with her straight away.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I get
like that. I respect that.
Yeah. So she's actually 16 at the moment and Max is 17.
Wow.
But she's going to be 16 in June.
Yeah.
17 in June. It looks like now that she's going to outlive Max.
Yeah, right.
Whereas I thought it was going to be the other way
Opposite.
around just because of temperament.
Yep.
But the vet, when I took them to the vet, because Max has had a big operation on his mouth recently.
Darling.
Yeah. Pretty good first major operation he's had. April's
That's
only had
amazing.
one. So yeah, they're doing pretty good. But the vet was like, look, you've probably got 2 or 3 years with Max.
Wow.
April could go till she's 20.
Wow.
I was like, okay,
yeah.
you're good to know. Not ready, but good to know.
I can tell you this right now. The not mean dogs, but like the sassy dogs live forever. One of my friends, so the reason I got Stanley, one of the great reasons that I definitely wanted him is because one of my best friends has a beautiful Chihuahua pug called Polly. She is kind
That's
of
cute.
the patron saint of the Malthouse Theatre in Melbourne, and she is older than time itself. And she, I look after her all the time, and I adore her because she's like so bossy and
Yeah,
so
right.
mad at everyone all the time, and she's so tiny and she's got so much attitude. But like every time I see her come up on Instagram, I'm like, oh my God, she's died. Like someone's doing a tribute, but it's just another great picture of her in a costume or something. And she's just always in a bad mood, but like she's going to outlive everybody. She's one of the oldest dogs I've ever met, and she's in fine health. Like she's like slow on her feet, and like she's so little she can't like hop downstairs. You have to carry her, but like she's so sassy and she'll just live forever.
That's
I
the best.
swear to God, that's the rule. Like sassier dogs never die. They're like, out of pure spite, I'm going to live until I'm 25.
And then I fall apart bit
That's
by
right.
bit.
That's right.
Lauren,
Yes, Carla.
what is the biggest what is the biggest lesson you have learnt in love?
Love is an amazing thing, but love means many things.
Yeah, true.
And I think, can I say 2 things?
Oh, fucking, you
Okay,
can say
great,
as many
great.
as you
No
want.
rules. Love it. The first thing is that I definitely have learnt that romantic love is important, but it is not the number one thing to strive for. You know, the love that you have for the women and the friends in your life is just as powerful and just as, you know, good for your heart and your health and your overall outlook on life. When it comes to romantic love, I think I have learnt that, you know, love is important and it can carry you a certain way, but, you know, there is a big difference between loving someone and being committed to them. Yeah. And really learning how to work through the fact that everyone is flawed and, you know, being with someone long term takes work. And, you know, it's about finding the things, reminding yourself all the time that, like, why you're there and that it's not going to be easy all the time. Because I do think a lot of people do come into their first, you know, long-term relationship and they don't understand that things change, like, yeah, they do, really quickly. And, you know, you have to really be sure that you're ready to commit, because commitment means a lot of work.
It does.
And, you know, love is important. It will carry you a lot of the way, but you also have to put in the grunt work, which sounds really unromantic.
No, but and you also, I think, have to be quite self-aware.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I'd also say that's another big lesson of mine in love is, like, learning to understand your limitations. Because I think when relationships get hard, there is a tendency to blame the other person and focus on what they're doing to you as opposed to your behaviors.
Yeah. And working as a team against the problem, not the other person.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. And it's such a fucking humbling experience. And I think that's also a lesson you can take, is that when you love someone, you find that you'll end up feeling very humbled a lot of the time. Yeah. Because you have to be. You kind of have to be. And you also, but it also is really important to know that you have a lot to offer and that, you know, you're worthy of being loved and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, I think something that I've spoken to my own partner about before is, like, you know, I still have trouble sometimes. And I think a lot of women do this, is that unconscious idea that, you know, you are worthy of love or that you are lovable, because you're conditioned from such a young age to be, to work for a man's attention or to get a man. And I just hate that. I hate it so much.
Yeah. It's my nonna. Yeah, we're coming full circle. Yep.
Yeah. So that was a really roundabout way to answer that question, but, like, that would be my advice.
Yeah, great. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Lauren, thank you so much for coming on the potty.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Woo! Yay. Come to my show.
Yes. Everyone get there.
Selfless plug.
The Catchalorette, with friends near and far, from heartache to catfish and sex toys. The Catchalorette and friends. See you next time, if you dare.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.